They say some battles are fought in boardrooms, some in courtrooms, but Mine started on the peaceful edge of a sparkling lake, with birds singing and sunlight on the water. I thought I'd finally found a little slice of peace after years of working in the city. But peace didn't last long. Because peace doesn't survive when Karen lives next door. She didn't like the way I parked, the way I fished, or even the way my grass grew. She didn't just want control of her own yard, she wanted to run the entire lake. And when I refused to bow down to her homeowner association that she ruled like a queen, she called the police on me. What she didn't know, what no one knew, was that I wasn't just her neighbor. I was her landlord. And the moment that truth came out, the entire neighborhood changed forever. I bought the cabin by the lake for one reason: peace. After 2 decades of long hours, missed birthdays, and constant stress as a property developer, I wanted to disappear into quiet mornings with a fishing pole and evenings on the porch. The lake was perfect. Small, private, tucked away from the city. My property sat on the eastern bank, shaded by tall oaks. Across the gravel road sat neatly lined suburban houses, most of them identical, built years ago by a different developer who decided to form an HOA. My cabin wasn't part of it, it was older, grandfathered outside the association, and I intended to keep it that way. That's when I met her, Janet, but everyone in hushed tones called her Karen. She wore her authority like a crown. Clipboard in hand, she marched from driveway to driveway, measuring grass height, checking mailboxes, reminding people of community guidelines. The neighborhood kids called her the Lake Sheriff. My first week there, she introduced herself not with a handshake but with a list of demands. "You'll need to sign these papers to officially join the Lake HOA," she said, handing me a stack of documents thick as a phone book. I smiled politely. "I don't think I'm required. My deed is separate. This cabin predates the HOA." Her lips pursed into a line. "Everyone by the lake should contribute. It's only fair. We keep the community safe, tidy, and respectable. If you want to live here, you need to play by the rules." I told her I wasn't interested. That was strike one. From then on, she made it her mission to break me. She left notes taped to my door: "Your boat is improperly stored. Your lawn isn't HOA approved. Your guests parked in violation of community standards." The final straw came one sunny Saturday. I was fishing with my niece and nephew, teaching them how to bait hooks. The kids laughed, tossing pebbles into the water. Out of nowhere, Karen marched down the bank, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. "You can't fish here without an HOA permit," she snapped. "This is my property," I said calmly. "This is community property," she corrected, already dialing. "And since you refuse to join the HOA, you're trespassing. I'm calling the cops." The kids froze, frightened. My niece whispered, "Uncle, are we in trouble?" I put my arm around her. "Not at all, sweetheart." Minutes later, 2 officers arrived. Karen waved them down like she was directing traffic. "That man is refusing to comply with HOA rules," she declared. "He's violating community regulations." The officers approached me, asking for ID and the property deed. I handed it over, steady as stone. After a moment, one officer turned back to Karen. "Ma'am," he said, "this man owns this land outright. His property isn't under your HOA." Karen's face turned crimson. "That's impossible. Everyone here has to follow the rules." But it was true. The officers left, shaking their heads, while Karen stomped away, muttering about unfair loopholes. That night, as the kids slept, I sat on the porch staring at the moonlit lake. Part of me wanted to ignore her and live quietly. But another part of me, the part that had built empires, negotiated billion-dollar deals, and seen people try to bully their way into power, knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't going to stop. And she had no idea who she was messing with. The weeks that followed were like a storm building. Karen escalated her tactics. She spread rumors in the neighborhood that I was dangerous, that my property lowered their home values, that I threatened her when all I did was refuse to sign her HOA papers. Some neighbors avoided me, others whispered apologies, too afraid to cross her. One evening, I came home to find a bright orange notice nailed to my front post. "Property in violation, subject to fine." She wasn't just harassing me, she was trying to scare me into submission. That's when I decided to pull out the one card I'd kept close to my chest. You see, years earlier, when the developer who built the neighborhood went bankrupt, I quietly acquired not just the cabin, but the land under half the homes across the lake. Most of the residents didn't even realize it. They paid their mortgages, but their land leases flowed through a holding company I owned. And guess whose house was part of that portfolio? Karen's. The next HOA meeting, I showed up uninvited. Heads turned when I walked in, calm and collected, carrying a single folder. Karen immediately launched into a tirade. "You don't belong here. This is a private HOA meeting," she barked. I smiled. "Actually, I think I do." I opened the folder and slid a stack of documents across the table. "Because I'm not just your neighbor. I'm your landlord." The room went silent. Karen blinked. "Excuse me." "These," I said, tapping the deeds, "are the land leases under several properties here, including yours. Meaning, technically, you live on my land. And unless you'd like to find another home, I suggest you rethink how you treat your neighbors." Murmurs erupted. People looked at Karen, then at me, then back at Karen again. For the first time, she didn't have words. Her face drained of color. You can't," she stammered. "I can," I said firmly. "And I don't want to. I didn't come here to control anyone. I came here for peace. But peace doesn't survive when someone uses fear to control a community. That ends tonight." The room applauded, not thunderous, but relieved, like people exhaling after holding their breath too long. Neighbors who had once looked away now met my eyes with gratitude. Karen, however, stormed out, slamming the door behind her. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Without her grip, the HOA softened. Families began waving when I walked by, kids played freely without her looming, and for the first time, the lake felt like a community instead of a kingdom. As for Karen, she stayed quiet. Rumor had it she was planning to move, embarrassed by her downfall. But I didn't need revenge. One evening, as I fished on the dock with my niece again, she asked, "Uncle, why didn't you just kick her out?" I smiled, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Because sometimes the best way to win isn't to fight harder, it's to show people the truth. Once they see it, the bully loses all their power. The lake rippled softly, peaceful once more. And for the first time in a long time, so was I.